Wow, what a week, man. If you guys have been living under a rock, FTX basically went bust last week and lots of crazy junk was happening. The reason I'm making this video is so you guys can prepare for the upcoming volatility. We still don't know who else is going to go bust from this, and we don't know who is going to be affected. So, when in doubt, the best thing to do is to sit on the sidelines in this type of situation. Sure, if you have a long term approach, you can use this as a great opportunity to DCA into some of the crypto assets. And if you are, it's best to do it only in the blue chips. Even the blue chips are trending downwards. And when I say sit on the sidelines, I mean go into cold storage, or if you're in stable coins, get them into cash or get them out of the markets. The reason for that is there are a lot of people targeting different stable coins, exchanges in different places. And there are situations of bad debt in a lot of these protocols. And since we're talking about stable coins, I want to go ahead and show you guys this screenshot here. Alameda Research received $36 billion in Tether stablecoins. Do you know how many Tether stablecoins there are in existence? Well, at the time of recording, there's a little over 60 billion. Now, I'm not saying Tether didn't get cash in exchange for issuing the Tether stablecoin, but this is something to notate. If there's any sort of lending from Tether to Alameda, well, they aren't getting that money back. They went bankrupt. And believe it or not, Tether has a major impact on the DeFi ecosystem. A lot of protocols are intertwined with Tether. Yes, there are protocols moving away from it, but if Tether goes to zero, loses peg, it can cause a lot of chaos in the DeFi ecosystem. Now, a lot of you are saying, oh, USDC is safe. USDC is good. Well, USDC could also be affected by this. I made a couple videos on USDC if you guys want to check them out. But the point I'm trying to make is if you're having to rely on someone else or another centralized party, that is not the ethos of crypto. And as you can see, relying on someone like FTX or another centralized party, it doesn't work out so hot. So point number one, get your funds off of the exchanges. Now, you're probably asking, what about DeFi protocols? Well, for the most part, DeFi protocols have stood the test of time, but with a lot of things breaking and a lot of uncertainty, it could be a good idea just to hold your funds in cold storage or, again, out of the system. If you're holding stablecoins, make sure you understand the risk you're taking on, because if the stablecoins depeg, would you be okay with that? If your answer is yes, well, hey, that's the risk you're willing to take. So let me show you a couple of examples of bad debt issues that happen in the DeFi ecosystem so you guys can understand the risk you're taking on. This is Scream Finance. This is over on Phantom. They actually have a bad debt issue. This has been going on for 5 months now. And what happened was they were making different partnerships with other protocols, and it ended up going bust and not going through. They have bad debt. There's about 11 or 12 million dollars in bad debt, and there's people in here that are deposited that can't get their money out. As you can see here, it says the total supply is 31 million and the total borrow is 20 million dollars. There are people who deposited some stablecoins, some Ethereum, some Bitcoin, some Phantom, just different tokens into this protocol, lending it out, thinking, oh, I'll be able to come back and withdraw it. Well, no, there's zero liquidity for FUSDT. There's zero liquidity for Bitcoin, none for Frax, none for Phantom. They can't withdraw. They can't get out. So in order for them to get their money back, the person who borrowed all the funds would have to repay the loans in order for these guys to ever withdraw. So something to keep in mind. So now here's another protocol. This is called Solon. This was a proposal to move $170 million at the time of the proposal being written of a guy's Sol tokens. So someone was basically able to put out a proposal with the community, and governance holders were able to decide the direction of what they would do with the deposited funds. So just because you have crypto and you deposit on a DeFi protocol, it doesn't necessarily mean it's yours, especially if the governance holders vote differently. you have to be careful, especially in circumstances like this. And I'm sure you're already aware of the other exchanges like BlockFi going out, and there will probably be a couple of others. There's no use picking, just get your funds off of the exchange. That's the best thing to do, and just to be safe. So now another example of an issue with the DeFi protocol, we're going to even talk about Solend again. There was a $1.26 million exploit. Do you actually think it was an exploit or an inside job? Obviously, this is for you to decide. When the markets get more risky and money gets tight, humans tend to do things that you would never expect them to do. Get your funds off the exchange. Either get it into cold storage or get it out of the system. Second, be careful of going into DeFi protocols until a lot of dust settles. You have to be careful because there are chances of hacks or different governance proposals seizing the assets that were deposited in there or having bad debt issues. Next, if you're holding these wrapped tokens or these tokens that represent the other token, now wrapped ETH is a little bit different. That's for a contract, so that will be one-to-one. But using something like Sol BTC, this thing is worth less than $2,000 at the time of this recording, and BTC is still at 16 grand. The reason why it's trading off peg is you can't redeem the Sol BTC for actual BTC. These wrapped tokens, especially like Wrap BTC, Ren BTC, these centralized solutions, or in Ren's case, it's still considered somewhat decentralized. But the concern is a lot of the Ren governance tokens were with FTX. So who has a lot of the voting power? Well, guess who? It's FTX. So still, you even have to be careful with the decentralized peg ones because you don't know where the risk is. Again, when in doubt, hold the native assets, and holding the native assets is always the best solution anyways. Holding like Wrapped ETH and Wrapped Bitcoin on a different alternate layer 1, you're actually taking on the layer 1 risk. It's just additional risk. Do you guys remember the Harmony One bridge hack? Well, basically a ton of those stable coins are off peg. Wrapped Bitcoin, Wrapped ETH, those are off peg because there's a ton of bad debt in the system from the Harmony bridge hack. So I'm not going to beat a dead horse. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a summary of this video. First, get your funds off the exchange. Either get it out of the system or get it into cold storage. Second, be wary of depositing into DeFi protocols. Understand the risk you're taking on. There's a chance of bad debt, there's a chance of exploits or hacks, and there is a chance of faulty governance proposals and who knows what else. Third, if you're holding derivative assets like Wrapped Bitcoin or Wrapped ETH on a different layer 1, Wrapped ETH on Ethereum is actually Ethereum, it's just a contract form. But having Wrapped ETH on something like Phantom Network, Wrapped ETH on Harmony, Wrapped ETH on Avalanche, who knows what will happen. If there's an exploit or a bridge risk, those funds cannot actually be there. And even if you think you're holding a decentralized one like Ren BTC, a lot of the governance tokens were at FTX, and well, FTX went bust. And even with stable coins, there's a lot of dust that needs to settle. You don't know if some of their balance sheet or assets were with FTX or with any of these other guys who were affected by FTX. Nobody knows. Time will tell. We'll see what happens. When in doubt, it's best to sit on the sidelines and let the dust settle. And I know you're like, Drake, what about the dip? What about the dip? What about the dip? Well, yeah, if you have a long-term approach, it's going to be great buying opportunities and it's best to buy in the blood. But here's one thought to keep in mind. It's one thing for someone to buy Bitcoin when it's dipping, but it's another if people can't even buy the dip because they're afraid to go on an exchange to actually buy it and leave their funds on there. Remember, a lot of people, they don't know how to custody these assets. Even some of the big players, as you can see from the fallout of FTX, why would these guys be keeping millions and millions and millions of dollars on an FTX exchange if they understood how to use cold storage? To me, that's not a great way to diversify, but maybe they didn't know how to hold it into cold storage. Remember, if exchanges are dropping like flies and the contagion is still going around, there's probably some more room to go down. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, make sure you guys smash up the like, subscribe to the channel. Tell me what you guys think of this whole FTX debacle. And if you guys have any other tips to share, leave them in the comments below. Let's hit you guys with Proverbs chapter 13, verses 11. Dishonest money dwindles away, but whoever gathers money little by little makes it grow. It was a completely random wisdom one liner I picked out, but dude, that so applies to this. We'll see you guys.